schools, I know, have been just bedrocks of our community as far as protecting and supporting our families. We had little Liam who was removed. We had 6 other kids that were removed. A couple of them are still not back from an imprisonment. You know, how are we going to deal with this mental health issue community-wise, state-wise, school-wise? And as chair of education finance, that's really going to be my focus, is on mental health and getting kids back in school, and that building that kind of trust for the parents so that they are not fearful of bringing their children into out of the homes and into the schools. And there will be a lot of work at the legislature focusing on this. But I think as we move forward, session begins on Tuesday. There is a wide swath of legislation that we will be proposing, from public safety reform to housing to food security to education to healthcare. And we will need all of you. Not only will we need all of you, but we will need our corporations and we will need our philanthropic organizations to step up, and not only to help us finance all of these things, but also speak out and be the community leaders that we need them to be. And so I do look forward to working this next session to address those needs under these circumstances, and look forward to working with all of you. So thanks so much for having me here today.
Thank you so much for joining us, Senator Kunish. We really appreciate it. Next, we're going to go over to your colleague, Senator Lindsay Port.
Thank you very much, council member. I appreciate your invite here. My name is Lindsay Port. I represent Burnsville and Savage in the South Metro, and I chair the Housing and Homelessness Prevention Committee in the Senate. I just want to start by saying that our communities have experienced immense chaos and upheaval through this occupation. And what we need is stability and safety that all of our communities can count on. No Minnesotan should lose their home because they cannot safely go to work and move about the community because of the actions of the federal government. To that end, we have proposed, myself and co-chair Mike Howard, who chairs the Housing Committee in the House, have proposed an action plan for housing stability in this time. And first of all, as we continue to ask for this drawdown to happen, this end to the Metro surge to happen, we are still seeing very high activity in the suburbs today. And so want to continue to call out that our communities are not yet safe. And we need to continue to protect our neighbors. To that end, we are calling for $50 million in emergency rental assistance immediately upon returning to the legislative session. We will hear this bill Wednesday in the House and Thursday in the Senate. It is critical that this money moves quickly out to our communities. We know from United Way's 211 call that in the first week of the year, asks for rental assistance were up 65%. So we know that this is a critical moment to keep our neighbors in their homes, and it is time for the state to do its part. We also want to give tenants additional time to seek that rental assistance and extend our 14-day notice to 30 days statewide. I know Minneapolis already is doing that, but we want to extend that statewide so that folks have time to access that rental assistance. We also want to make it easier for folks to be able to use that community aid. Like Senator Kunish, I just share such pride in how our communities have stepped up to keep our neighbors safe and housed. And that means sometimes rental assistance hasn't come from the formal programs that you need to be able to show in eviction court that you have assistance. And so we want to change that to make it more flexible. And we're also working and talking with the evictions, with housing court to make sure that anyone who needs it is able to access a remote hearing. If you do not feel safe going out of your home, you should be able to access that hearing at home. Um, I just want to say thank you so much to our communities who continue to stand up, who continue to protect our neighbors. That is the Minnesota way. And the legislature is about to come into session and use our time to stand with Minnesotans and to make sure that we are doing our best to protect and care for our neighbors as well.
Thank you so much, Senator, for that update and just your willingness to lead on the recovery efforts so swiftly. That's exactly what community is asking for right now. So we really appreciate it. I'm really excited to go to my colleague on the Minneapolis City Council today, Councilmember Aisha Chugtai.
Thank you, Councilmember. I really appreciate you having me and so many leaders from our state here today to provide an update for our community about what is happening. My name is Aisha Chugtai. I represent the 10th Ward on the Minneapolis City Council and serve as the council majority leader. My community includes South Minneapolis and the Uptown area. And I am here to share a couple of updates about what we are doing at the city as Senator Port highlighted, continue in the Minnesota way and stand with Minnesotans and Minneapolitans as they are wrapping their arms around each other and keeping each other safe and protecting one another. So a couple things I wanna lift up today. As we hopefully start to see the drawdown of federal agents from our community. And that is not an impact that we are feeling in real time quite yet. It continues to be dangerous for people to be outside where federal agents are continuing to racially profile and indiscriminately abduct and kidnap our community members, our beloved neighbors. But as we start to plan for recovery and resilience in our community at a systemic level, it's important to note that first, that recovery is going to be a long road. It's going to be a years-long journey that we are all going to go on together. The most immediate need that I continue to see every day in my neighborhood, which is a 80% renter community, is folks who have experienced a loss of income, whether it is because their place of work was shut down as a result of Operation Metro Surge, or it was the result of the significant reduction in foot traffic, loss of hours, families that are sheltering in place for their own safety and their loved ones' safety. We are seeing families that are behind on rent by a couple of months and are beginning the process of formally going through eviction court and housing court. This is the ripple effects that this is going to have on our community cannot be overstated and genuinely cannot be quantified. Our homes are our lifeline. There is no stability that a person can experience without a safe place to sleep at night. And one of the ways that we can show up for our community right now is by helping pay for people to catch up on rent so that they do not end up with an eviction on their record, permanently altering that family's trajectory and ability to access safe, stable, and dignified housing. So there are a couple ways that people can show up and be a part of this. First, the Whittier Alliance, in partnership with several other neighborhoods and community organizations, has set up a citywide rent fund for Minneapolis. Right now, they're working to raise $1.3 million to pay rent for 1,000 families in this month. And so in the description of this video, of this live stream, you will be able to find a link to contribute. It's Friday. For a lot of people, it's payday today. And so if you are able to help be a part of keeping 1,000 families in their home, I urge you and welcome you to join me in contributing to this very righteous cause. Last week, the Minneapolis City Council approved an action to invest an additional $1 million in in rental assistance through Hennepin County, through Rent Help Hennepin, which works with folks who have been served their eviction court summons and helps them pay back rent, in particular for folks who are seniors, who have a disability, or minors under the age of 18 in their care. This is one of the lifelines that helps keep people in their homes. We estimate that the $1 million investment will assist about 250 families in staying in their homes, and that's a really big deal. The second thing I want to talk about is the broader economic recovery in our community. Minneapolis estimates that we have lost approximately $200 million or more in revenue over the last 6 weeks that Operation Metro Surge has terrorized our communities. And we are seeing our commercial corridors struggling, our local economy and local entrepreneurs making tough choices about continuing to pay their employees and risking shutting down their businesses permanently. And so in this next week, myself, along with several other council members, Councilmember Chowdhury, you are also a part of leading on this work. We are going to be proposing investing about $5 million in economic recovery for small businesses and our commercial corridors that have been hardest hit by Operation Metro Surge, and look forward to hopefully sharing some good news in our next report this time next week that we are going to help our commercial corridors come back in this way. So those are the two big updates. It's really important that we're investing in rental assistance and keeping families in their homes. It's really important that we're supporting our small businesses and our local economy here in Minneapolis. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Chugtai. Next, I'm really grateful to be bringing on School Board Chair Colin Beachy. We know that as we are all in recovery mode, our kids, our educators, and our schools have been particularly hard hit, and it's also going to be a level of years and years of work that we're going to need to do to make sure that the cornerstone of our community, which is education, can recover. So welcome, Director Beachy.
Yes, good evening or good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for that opening statement, Councilmember Chowdhury. I just really am appreciating what I'm hearing everyone talking about with the housing assistance, and that affects our families just in general. This has only kind of highlighted the urgency that we all need to be acting with on that. And to the senators, I want to thank you for going into action as quickly as you are as well. And I just want to make sure that you also please don't forget that the financial impacts that this is having on our school districts, the way that the funding formula is in terms of how we are reimbursed for our food service. We are actually losing money every day because of the thousands of students who are not able to come to school because of the conditions on the ground created by the federal government. So we are taking, I guess, the same approach that a lot of leaders are already saying. We're going to remain cautious, and we'll believe it when we see it. As I've been saying every meeting here, we just have to monitor the conditions on the ground, and that will determine some of the decisions that we're going to be making in coordination with our families. This is good news, but listen, we do understand that many families are still going to be feeling a sense of fear and anxiety. I want to remind you that throughout this whole time, our schools have remained places of learning and places of care, and they will continue to be doing so throughout this entire time, throughout the rest of the school year. And so, but that fear is understood. And for those people, I don't have a date, this news obviously just came yesterday, right? So, but we will be thinking about when it is going to be safe to start bringing our students back to school. And that's just going to have a lot of coordination with our families, because as Councilwoman Chowdhury said, this is going to have long-term effects. And so we want to make sure that everyone is is safe. And if you're not ready to come back to school yet at this moment, that is okay. That is okay. We will be working with you and your family to do whatever we can to make sure that you are feeling safe and ready to come back to school. Academic supports, I want to talk a little bit about that. For many students who have missed school or who have missed the in-person teachers I know over the next week or so, I know that there's a professional development day on Friday, and I know that there will probably be some discussions about bringing students back and while we're going to be supporting them in both their academic and emotional and well-being supports. I just want to take a look at some notes here, make sure I got everything that I wanted to talk about. This has been just very stressful, and I don't think that we as a school district could have gotten through this without the major support of our parents and of our families, and quite frankly, our communities. As you said, schools are the cornerstones of our communities, and everyone just stood up and did what they needed to do, and they're still going to remain vigilant until we know for sure that this is over. We are still feeling the effects, as we said, but listen, our message is simple to everyone here. You are all welcome, and you will be safe coming back to school, and we will provide the education that it is that you need. We are continuing to work with our families, our community partners, and we're just so grateful for everything that everyone has done. I usually try and want to end this on some sort of a positive thing about just, again, together we're just so much stronger, and together we're all going to get through this. And I just, again, cannot thank enough. I mean, thank you is just a word, right? But it's just, I can't express enough the gratitude I have and the pride that I have in this community of what we have done. People from all over the country are just marveling at what we have done. And it's sort of like we're just doing what we normally do. So just thank you, everyone, and let's continue to work together and hang in there. We're getting through this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. So there's a lot that's going on across all of our governments. We're all leaning in. Legislative session is right around the corner. We have a big city council meeting coming up Tuesday, February 17th at 9:30 a.m. We encourage community members to come. We're also at that city council meeting going to be discussing a couple liquor license renewals of 2 hotels that community members have shared concerns about, that community members have emailed and reached out about, just in general, all of these hotels that have been housing ICE agents nearby corridors where community members live, and also the impacts that has happened on workers. And so I'll just put that out there. And the other thing I want to share is, again, like the announcement was made, but Operation Metro Surge has not ended. And we see that very clearly. Even this morning, I have gotten several reports of ICE vehicles and activities all throughout Minneapolis, several vehicles leaving the Whipple building to continue to do what they have been doing. And oftentimes it has looked like trampling on the rights of constitutional observers. We also saw in St. Paul just a couple of days ago the multi-vehicle crash that occurred because an ICE agent decided to violate traffic laws and go well above 25 per hour speed limit on a residential corridor and do a high chase pursuit, which our officers in our cities don't even do, which led to that crash. And there are several stories that are going to continue to come out, stories of community members in hiding, stories of community members losing their loved ones, their partner, stories of community members whose kids were taken into detention and now have to go through all of the work to just mentally recover from that. And that's another part of this human aspect of the impact of this, right? There are generations of young kids and families that are now torn apart, that are going to have to rebuild. And that this was all so unnecessary and so avoidable. And there's a deep, deep pain around that. That I think we're all trying to figure out even how to articulate. There is going to be an official report that will come out from the city of Minneapolis that details out the the damage and the economic impact that this has had on the city of Minneapolis. I'll direct all of the media that's listening and community members that are listening on that will come out through official city channels in the coming days, if not today. And then for those that are a part of our media, if there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to the press contact from my office, and we will direct you to get in touch with any of the leaders that spoke today. Our next Metro Ice Out report will be Monday, February 16th at noon. We're going to just keep on doing this until we no longer have to do this. Really, really grateful again to all of the leaders that came on today. We're doing this because at the core of our job, it's representation and serving our constituents and fighting for Minneapolis residents and Minnesotans. And so we'll keep on doing this. Thank you. And that's the Metro Ice Out report for today.